This is obviously a very, very small talk this morning, and this is part of a much bigger professional learning framework around curiosity. So I'm just sharing with you a small section of it today. And if anybody wanted to carry the conversation on further beyond, I'd be really happy to do that. And also just to kind of let you know that this is a work in progress for us. We're in year 5 of our culture of curiosity. And, you know, it is very much about learning and collaborating as we go. So just to give you a little insight, really, I wanted to leave you all with something practical today. I wanted something that you could take away and perhaps look at utilising in your own spaces. And as ever, with all of these things, it's about knowing what's happening out there. It's about developing a language around our practitioners and about really inspiring the voice of our practitioners within curiosity to recognise their own mastery and our own ability within our sector to develop what we're doing. We know our learners best. We know what they need. We know the challenges of a learner that is in a situation of having to repeat their GCSEs. And I am not ashamed to say I was one of those back in the day. I had to repeat my GCSE maths. And it was horrible. It was a really horrible as a learner situation to be in where you're ready to move on. You're ready to move on to your subject and you're finding yourself having to go back and repeat. And it's a real challenge. So for us, curiosity is cultural. It's directed from everybody within our institution, from leadership down to, you know, it's very much a grassroots movement for us. And it's about feeding our tree. This is not my term. This comes from the brilliant Sam Jones, who I'm sure loads of you know. And I'm not going to go into the details of it because she does have a YouTube video out there where she's talking about it far more eloquently than I can do. But for us, our professional learning framework in curiosity is about improving who we are as an organisation and being brave to look at the way that we do things and to reflect on how we do them and think, are we doing the best for our learners? Are we putting our learners first? Can we be doing things better? So any curiosity activity that takes place is very much about looking at going on a process of development, looking at what's out there, making contacts, connections, and then bringing that back and using the recommendations of our practitioners to change what we do. These aren't hypothetical exercises. We want it to be rooted in action for change. And that idea of nourishing who we are by the work of our practitioners and their voice and their mastery underpins the culture that we have here. So just to give kind of a little bit of an overview, and again, this is just 10 minutes, so apologies, I am rushing through this a little bit. But in terms of the culture that we've established here around action research, action-based research, is that you need your culture to be built on trust. You need it to enhance the learning of both learners and staff, especially in this complexity around GCSE resits. You need really brave staff who are prepared to look at what they're doing in that space and look at how they're connecting with their learners, recognizing the context of the learners. And it's learning for everybody, not just learning for the learners. You want to be working as many collaboration opportunities internally and externally as possible. I've got 2 examples that I'll reference at the end of this talk, where I think that ability to be brave and to look elsewhere at what others are doing has really helped us to shape what we're doing as an organisation. You want your action research cultures to be inclusive and to value the voice of everybody. And you want it to be supported in informed risk taking. I think what kind of can sometimes be a little bit of a challenge with when you're using action research as a method of improvement is that teachers want autonomy and agency. They want to be able to run, they want to be able to experiment, they want to be able to play in the space. The leadership perhaps say, yes, we want that too, but also please be careful. So we have designed a programme which gives that autonomy and agency to our staff while also rooted in a quality assured process to be able to ensure that what we're producing is robust and it's safe and is ethical in terms of how we develop our action research. It has to be driven by leadership support. The staff voice is the most important, but it has to be championed by leadership. I'm really proud of that within our organisation that curiosity, as a word that started within teaching and learning in 2018, now sits in all of our strategic plans right across the college in all areas, and is also sitting in the learner space as well. So for us, we want to establish a language that challenges traditional negative assumptions on the nature of research and who can do it. We could do a whole webinar just on this section, so I won't go into too much depth here, but this is for everybody. All the people working in this space should feel like they have the power to be able to improve their practice and change and experiment what they do. I think, you know, it's moving away from those kind of negative assumptions around particular areas should have the voice, but it needs to be the staff who are in the room with the learners. They know them best. You want your action research to genuinely feed the tree, you know, and this type of culture doesn't happen overnight. As I say, we're in year 5, and next year our programme is going to look quite different, but it's taken 5 years to get to that point, to be able to have that evolutionary next step. You want it to champion the thinking of all the staff and focus on the implementation of appropriate and relevant recommendations. Again, the 2 I reference at the end will show you what I mean there. And you really want it to be about supporting practitioners to play, but to have robust and relevant impact measures so they can determine the success of the research and its potential to have wider college impact. So those are just some of the learnings. I think if people are thinking about establishing research-based cultures in their organisations, these are some of the foundations that need to be there in order to have that two-way conversation. So the biggest thing for us is that none of this is a desktop exercise. It's all, you can make a difference. What do you want to change? We directly in our language want to show our practitioners that they can take an idea. Maybe it's a frustration, maybe it's a missed opportunity that they see within our organisation. They can go on a journey of action research and come back with recommendations to how we can make things better. So framing it in that language of action is really, really important. So we utilise the action research cycle. It's a year-long programme that staff right across our organisation can apply for. And currently we have 2 hours release from teaching time in order to engage in this programme for the whole year. For next year, it'll be 4 hours. So we really value this space. We really value this type of work for our lecturers. Again, could do a whole webinar on this one, but I just wanted to share this particular cycle because it's a really lovely inclusive cycle that allows for meandering. So when we've got our practitioners researching, it's really important that that curiosity comes from the individual, that it doesn't come from an agenda or a strategic plan or a manager with an idea. It needs to come from the practitioners, you know. So if you're thinking about that in the space of the context of GCSE, that your GCSE staff are driving the improvement. They are thinking about what little change can they do that could potentially have a significant impact. So we really like the action research cycle. It's a very friendly cycle. It's very inclusive, and you can go round it as many times as you like, which is also a lovely feature as well. So I have popped, and I'm happy to share these slides for people, so I won't talk through all of these, but I just wanted to expand a little bit on each of those sections just to kind of put it into context, really. But this is what a year looks like for us in our organisation. I'm going to move you up there so you can see. So this is the journey that we take our action researchers on through the academic year, looking at scoping the focus of the project. And I talk to our staff there very much about what is in scope, but being really confident to say what is not in scope. I think typically in FE, we try to do everything and solve everything very quickly all in one go, but actually pulling it back and being really confident to say, okay, for this year, I'm looking at this specific intervention or this specific idea, or I'm addressing this specific problem, and looking at how that can be developed for 1 year and then how it can grow beyond there. But, you know, in terms of the action research, we're still looking at ethics. We're still looking at mapping the research and having a roadmap for the journey, methodology, literature review, all those things that you typically expect to be in a research journey. They are all still there, but our language of how we talk about these things are slightly different. And there is a reason for the mad lines all across here, is that, yes, it is a year-long programme with a nice trajectory of September to July, but I encourage our staff to meander. I want them to go where the work takes them, because that's where the true discovery lies. And as leaders, you need to be brave to allow that to happen, and you need to encourage it, and you need to listen when your practitioner comes back and says, actually, I think this is the way that we need to go, and trust their professional judgment and allow them to go down that route and explore it. If you keep coming back to the you know, a good process, a good sort of underpinning skill set, then that trust really flourishes, and I think that's really key. I wanted to talk about these two lovely, wonderful people. I believe Alex Huggett is on the call. I think her name popped up. So I'm going to talk about the amazing Alex Huggett first. So a couple of years ago, I was at the AOC conference up in Birmingham and listened to the amazing Rachel Arnold talking about her Teach the Teacher, which, if you've not come across Rachel and if you've not come across her Teach the Teacher, please stalk her on social media and find her and find out all about her, because her work is absolute. I really, really, really believe this piece of work is going to be massive in pushing forward the GCSE Resits space, because it's all about building relationships, and that is what I think personally is missing in a lot of these spaces. You know, I think some of these learners can feel a bit nameless. They're already feeling a little bit rubbish, the fact that they're having to repeat and that they're in this space. Oh, I think I've got feedback. Is that me, or is that?
You've muted Bryony as well.
I didn't. I think you're muted, Bryony.
Am I back with you?
You're back.
Sorry,
yeah.
There was some weird feedback there. Alex and Rachel met, and they worked together for Alex to really sort of understand from Rachel the process of the Teach the Teacher, and how that's about building relationships and understanding context of learners, and becoming the learner, which is just amazing. Such a fantastic concept. So Alex worked on that for a year, and then in the second year she became a manager, absolutely amazing manager, and she is now doing the same process with the team in her area. And my goal is, you know, I would love for all of our staff to be going out, being taught by learners and putting themselves in that position to learn what it's like to learn something, you know, and to be out in that space and to have those learners having that human to human moment. It's really special, and I'm not doing it enough justice here talking about it, because it's a big thing to kind of pull apart. So I wanted to reference Alex, and I wanted to reference Alan as well. So both of these are in skills improvement that look after our GCSEs. So Alan joined our programme 2 years ago and was really interested to look at the impact of food poverty on learner engagement. So he went away for an academic year and he looked into different institutions about how they handle food poverty. And because of the process with the leadership buy-in, Alan was able to bring back recommendations, and from there he was able to then make change, and is now running a culinary programme. So he's from skills, that's his background, but he's now running a culinary programme for learners in order to look at sort of equity and really addressing that food poverty need. Sorry, this is very quick, but as I say, I'm very happy to talk further, and really I'm so proud of all of the staff in our institution and what they're doing. They're absolutely amazing, and I'm really grateful for all of the externals, and I know there's a lot of people on this call that have helped us to be part of this journey. So this is a lovely opportunity to thank you too, because this is collaborative. None of us can do this on our own. So that's it from me.